intensity with humility.
As many of you may know, a lot of the prime movers in the shoulder that are done in CrossFit are the large muscle groups around the shoulder girdle. That's your pectoralis, your deltoid, your trapezius, your lats, and these are the large muscle groups. The smaller muscle group, called the rotator cuff, 4 muscles that surround the head, and it holds that head into the socket to stabilize it. That's their primary role. They're not a prime mover like those large muscles. They hold that head into the socket to stabilize it, so then those prime movers can do the major motion. But if the rotator cuff is not strong, you can end up with shoulder pain and instability because those large muscles tend to pull the head out of the joint and you have a lot of slop and play with it. So what we're going to show you now is how to work on those rotator cuff and scapula stabilizers to help keep the head of that humerus into the glenoid socket to stabilize it while those other major muscles then can do the movement. All right, the Crossover Symmetry program is a rotator cuff and a scapula stabilization program that you can use with rubber tubing and anywhere that you can hook it up to a wall with a couple of connections at the eye level and then a couple of other connections at the knee level. So I'm going to demonstrate these for you today, and a couple of things to remember. They are always done right and left arms at the same time, except for one exercise I'll show you later. So that's why they call it symmetry, is because it's always symmetrical. And it's crossover because your arms are always crossed when you initiate the exercise. So let's get started. And we're using rubber tubing because it does have both that concentric and eccentric aspect to it, but we're using lighter weight because this is not intended to be large, again, involve those large muscles to where we're throwing it or getting more plyometric type things on it. This is more slow and controlled, so we're trying to isolate a little bit more and focus on those rotator cuff muscles, which can be weak even in a very strong person. You can still have a rotator cuff insufficiency or weakness. So that's what we're focusing on with this program. Okay, we've got 2 different color bands here, which is the red band is a little bit lighter, and then the green is a heavier band. There's other colors that you also can get, but again, I would caution you against getting extremely heavy bands to where then you have to kind of compromise the technique when you're doing it. But if you wanted more than both of these, you can combine it, and I'll show you that in a minute when we do the Punch Plus. Okay, the first one we're going to demonstrate is the Crossover 90-90. It's one of the more difficult ones, so I usually like to do it earlier. It is at the knee level, so you start hands crossed and you come up to where your shoulders and your elbow are both at 90 degrees. Okay, back down, up, cross, up. So you're working it like this. A common mistake is for people to drop their elbows like this, or they break their wrist. So you don't want to break your wrist, and you want to keep it up at 90. So crossing here to 90 as you do 90-90. All right? You can go direct from this one to the Crossover Victory Front, or sometimes I call it touchdown because it looks like a referee in American football signaling a touchdown. So you come up over the top. So from the crossover position, it's just straight flexion up over the head. Okay, so that's Crossover Victory from the front. All right? Then from here, you can switch to the other 2, which you would start out holding them not being crossed, but just lined up this way. Raise one arm and then duck under, and now they're crossed behind you. Okay? So from here, you start in this position, and it would be the Incline Press is the one you can do from here. So it's starting beside your deltoid and pressing up and out. You're usually a little bit stronger with this, so sometimes I would get a heavier tube or even double tubing if you have 2 of them, and just do the Incline Press from here. And again, pressing all the way out. You want to get that extra plus with the shoulders, pressing that out. You come back with it next to your deltoid. From here, you can just flip down, and then you're going to do the Crossover Victory from the back, where it's a touchdown from this direction. So here, pulling up and overhead. So the tube comes right up outside your rib cage, and stops there as you bring it all the way up. So this is crossover, victory, back, or the other touchdown. So those are the 4 that you can do from the knee level, and then we'll show you next what we're doing from the eye level. At the eye level, again, just similar to knee level, you have them about 4 feet apart, but you then clip them on at the eye level. So the first one would be your reverse fly, which you start in a cross over position again, and it's just the opposite of what you do with flies if you were laying on a bench press. So you're going to bring them out in direct horizontal abduction as you do this. So this is your reverse fly for the scapula a lot. Okay? So nothing too difficult about that. From here you can go directly into the crossover row. So here you take this and you pull your hands towards your armpit. You want to keep the elbows up as you're doing this. Common mistake again on this is for people to drop their elbow and they break the wrist. So they'll come here and drop it and break the wrist. So keep elbows high, pull to your armpit, and wherever it stops, that's where it stops on that. Then to flip around for the punch plus, and I tend to find you're usually much stronger on the doing the punch plus. So I may get 2 tubes on this. So if the punch plus, again, hold them separate, lift one arm, duck under. Now you're crossed. So you're facing the opposite direction. Get in kind of an athletic or a ready position. You start right on the sides of your deltoid, and this is the only one that alternates. They're not done symmetrical. So you're going to punch towards the center and down, punch, punch, punch. And the key on this is you want to, I'll drop one tubing. This is just glenohumeral and elbow motion, but then here is that scapular motion that we want. So that's the plus portion. So we don't want you to stop here, but the plus is where you're getting that extra scapular motion. So as you're doing this, make sure that you are coming out here and not stopping there, but that extra plus. So you're getting that full range of motion that you can. So you're coming down and punching in a center position down towards the floor with the punch plus. So that's the 7 exercises in the crossover symmetry program.